Please tell me you had on some shoes.
And we have returned. You're listening to CSC Talk Radio. You heard my You heard the voice of my producer. He keeps kidding me. I was telling him about we had to walk in to the rally, and we went through some mud and gravel, and didn't want to walk back out that same way because it was dark and it had rained more. He said he was starting to ask me in my little headphones, please tell me you had on decent shoes. I had boots on. Yes, they had heels, but I had boots on. They weren't high heels. They were boots. And I thought, I didn't realize I was going to have to walk like that. And I really didn't think I was going to be sitting in the rain. So I probably was, I was dressed like a girl. So I got cold. I deserved it, Anyway, I did have boots on, Jeremy. So President Donald Trump, he definitely he has a presence, as I'm sure any president does. This is the first time I've gotten to see any president. But I was talking about in the monologue about how the media covers him. And it's all sorry, I do apologize. My computer keeps making noise over here. I'll shut it up. But the media is they're pretty one-sided, and I guess they are that way most of the time. It's just that it's more obvious with President Donald Trump. And I'm looking for, here it is. This is an article from the Daily Signal, and it says, here's why Trump's constant criticism of the media resonates with the Americans. Well, I remember barely, but I do remember when President Ronald Reagan was president and how he was treated by the media, and it was bad. Not as vicious as it is with President Donald Trump, and not defending them at all, but sometimes because he will hit back, and he has a way of being a little bit, what are you going to call it, a little bit harsh, a little bit crass. He can be bad too. He normally doesn't start it, but that does, they always say the guy who throws the second punch is the one who gets caught. But what I have noticed, and I know that you have, and we have talked about it before, is not just that they are prejudiced against him, but it's the vicious attacks. And I'm looking back to how we were with President Obama. I didn't like his policies, and I hope I wasn't disrespectful, but now I'm kind of concerned that perhaps I was. Because I really believe, and this was something with Bill Clinton, when he misbehaved in the Oval Office, everybody said, President Reagan wouldn't even take his suit coat off in the Oval Office because of the respect for the office itself. So we no longer respect the office. And that has been deteriorating for years, and I would say it probably started with President Bill Clinton and his misbehavior. But that doesn't, just because one person misbehaves doesn't mean all of us should misbehave. And so, the media didn't cover, at least even the local, there were some, but they didn't cover it as they should have, in my opinion. And of course, Fox didn't cover it because, it's Missouri, it's a flyover state, so we kind of got slumped off. Plus, in their defense, President Trump says about the same thing at every rally. So they did have, that. And we noticed this. And that's part of what, rural America doesn't have a voice. Because we do notice that we seem to lack in importance. And yet we, in Missouri, we carried President Donald Trump by 20 points. We're going to go to the phone lines. We have Bruce from Illinois. Bruce, how are you today?
Yes, Beth, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Beth, I'm calling today because I'd like to bring something out to people's attention. Where I live in Illinois, for the first time in almost a decade, we actually have legitimate job growth in my small rural community.
Good.
And it's primarily because of Donald Trump's tax cuts and his rolling back of Obamacare. And that's positive.
It is.
But at the same time, we have another major problem that's occurring here in Illinois. and that is that the Democratic Party, we have a billionaire running for governor in Illinois by the name of J.B. Pritzker.
Yes.
He's already spent more of his own personal wealth to become governor of Illinois than Donald Trump spent of his personal wealth to become president of the United States. Now, the Democrats in Illinois with J.B. Pritzker, they want to take as many guns away as they possibly can. They want to raise our property tax, our income tax. They're looking at a 100% tax on certain types of ammunition. The Democrats in Illinois are talking about a mileage tax, which will mean a government tracker box in our vehicles. And they're also talking about statewide rent controls, which will raise rents and may even cause homelessness like it does out in California. So that means everything, Beth, that Donald Trump and the Republicans have worked for, and this fledgling recovery, because we are in a fledgling recovery. We're not recovered. We're just starting.
That's true. That's true.
Okay? That means that with literally one session of the Illinois General Assembly, if the Democrats take over completely, we can lose everything, because if they're talking about doubling a lot of our taxes, and you know, if they push for all the gun control, you know, Illinois may literally not be fit to live in, and there's already estimates. You know, we're losing right now between 110 and 140,000 people a year out of the state, and they're talking about that rate tripling. So literally people are going to leave, our tax base is going to dwindle, and it's all because, you know, to be honest with you, Beth, yesterday you was talking about you don't really trust the Democrats because they're socialists, but you don't really trust the Republicans either.
That's true.
And you know, I agree with that, but at the same token, I don't know if we know how to win. You know, voting is not winning.
You're right.
Voting is part of a political process where you defeat your opposition. But then literally the next day after you vote, you literally get involved at the local and county and state level to be able to get your agenda through, to try to get your policies into law. And that's something that Christians and conservatives don't understand. And an example of this is in 2012, Beth. In 2012, we had two horrible men running for president, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney.
That's right.
25 million Christians in this country that were registered to vote, the good people, the people that should be the salt of our earth, and that's how the Bible defines Christians should be, as salt, as having flavor. Okay, 25 million Christians elected to stay home and not participate in the electoral process because they didn't like who was running. Because of that, good Christian conservatives, gun owners, pro-lifers, even just people that would sort of favor our agenda, they lost their elections because the Christians didn't get involved.
You're exactly right. And, you know, and you're right about neither one of those men were good for this nation. But we did need a change. And I don't expect Mitt Romney he probably will win as senator, but I don't expect him to be supportive of President Donald Trump.
No, but see, it's not that Mitt Romney was good or bad. See, like in Illinois.
Yeah, but it's that they didn't go out and vote. So, you know, like I was reading yesterday from John Whitehead, that and that's from the Rutherford Institute. He's founder of that. He was talking about your local elections, and we've talked about that before. If you know, who's on your school board? Who's your county commissioner? Who are these people? Your county sheriff, your alderman. Who are they, and what are they promoting in your community? You need to know that, and we tend to all, including myself, we tend to fail in that respect.
Well, Beth, see, that's the issue, see?
You're
like
right.
in Illinois. I mean, Beth, I'm going to be honest with you. This jobs issue really gets me because when Obama got elected, 3 adult members of my family, which is predominantly about all, you know, most all of them, so they lost their jobs under Obama because of Obamacare and what was being done in the economy. And I'm talking people, you know, that had 15, 20 years on a single job. So, you know, basically, you know, when you're in your 50s and you're starting over, that's not really a good thing to do.
No, it's not.
And you know, so we suffered. So, you know, to be able to get jobs even in a rural area like where I live, that's huge. And we've even got steel mills and stuff coming back into Illinois.
I was sitting by someone last night, and we were talking about that. I said, not only is this, and the prices are up, but it's going to take time for them to start getting processing going and production. And when you have the steel producing, guess what else is going to be producing?
Everything.
Coal.
Everything.
Coal is going to, you got to have the coal to produce the steel. Thank you, Bruce. You know what? You should have been at that rally last night. You should have been one of the speakers. Thank you so much. You're listening to CSC Talk Radio. It is free for all Friday. Your calls are welcome. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about. Roger is holding. We'll come to Roger when we get back. 877-895-5410. That's 877-895-5410. And we will be right back.